Aboard.
The flight attendant welcomed us aboard. The flight attendant welcomed us aboard. Some say that ghosts aboard a phantom ship are trying to use living sailors as their intermediaries.
We spent 2 months aboard ship.
Yuri Gagarin lifted off into space aboard the Vostok 1.
Aboard.
Bitter.
The police were very bitter, because their sheriff paid them almost nothing.
I'm sure that I'm sounding like either a pathetic lovelorn teenager or a sad bitter queen.
After the disappointment and defeat, to declare bankruptcy was a bitter pill to swallow for him. In 1876, however, the election was so bitterly contested. Some people even become quite bitter about it.
Bitter.
Bullet.
He was hit by a bullet.
Eight people were hospitalized after receiving bullet wounds.
The window is made of bulletproof glass.
He was hit by a bullet.
The candidates almost read the recruitment information on the bulletin board.
Bullet. Devil.
He would sell his soul to the devil. They believed she had been possessed by devils.
Those little devils broke my window.
My husband made sure that the children are always occupied doing something, because you know the devil finds work for idle hands to do. Nancy is such a difficult girl to work with, but better the devil you know.
Devil.
Drift.
The large chunk of ice drifted in the water.
Flotsam and jetsam drifted from the yacht, some having already washed ashore.
Thank you for agreeing to help beta test my new earnings drift alert service.
Autumn leaves are drifting by my window.
In tetraploid mapping, this drift error can be substantially reduced compared with diploid mapping.
Drift.
Enforce.
It isn't always easy for the police to enforce the laws.
An agreement is only enforceable if, inter alia, there is an intention that it should be legally binding. NCIS Special Agent is one of the most challenging and fulfilling careers in law enforcement.
Although child labor is illegal in this country, the laws are not enforced.
The company has decided to enforce the rules on smoking. From now on, anyone caught smoking on company premises will be fined.
Enforce.
Fountain.
There was a beautiful fountain in the middle of the park.
There is a fountain over there.
Garden is ornamented with something such as statues, fountain and trees.
There was a beautiful fountain in the middle of the park.
Fountain.
Harbor.
Several boats lay at anchor in the harbor. Bombing the United States naval base at Pearl Harbor was considered an act of war.
Police believe someone must be harboring the killer.
Several boats lay at anchor in the harbor.
Harbor.
March.
The soldiers marched in straight rows.
Her birthday is in March.
Completed projects must be submitted by March 10th.
They marched through the high Alps.
She was sworn in as head of an interim government in March.
March.
Millionaire.
She's a millionaire several times over. She's a millionaire several times over.
Millionaire.
Sheriff.
It was the sheriff's job to make the city safe.
The Sheriff Court is a court of the first instance for the majority of both civil and criminal cases.
Some people even become quite bitter about it. It was the sheriff's job to make the city safe.
Sheriff.
Startle.
The loud crash startled the sleeping woman.
She was startled at the first time that she saw the nudist neighbor.
The bird gave a startled squawk.
The sound of the thunder startled me.
Startle.
Sweat.
Whenever I work out, I sweat quite a bit.
You've got your sweater on back to front.
Grandma wants to use the blue wool to knit me a sweater.
He was sweating after the race.
The sweater was unraveled.
Sweat.
Trigger.
The man had his finger on the trigger of the gun.
The fall in the exchange rate triggered a rise in inflation.
In nuclear fission, atoms of uranium fuel are hit by neutrons, triggering a continuous chain of fission that releases heat.
The environment can trigger the seeds of anger.
The candy bar triggered her craving.
Trigger.
Unify. The new leader hopes to unify the country.
If the new leader does manage to unify his warring party, it will be quite an achievement.
The new leader hopes to unify the country.
He said he would seek to unify the Conservative Party.
The CDC director said resources, technical experts and a worldwide, organized and unified plan are needed. Unify.
Vessel.
New Zealand has banned vessels carrying nuclear weapons.
Carotid artery disease occurs when the main blood vessels that carry oxygenated blood to the brain become narrowed.
Huen was an important port for merchant vessels from the Far East. Sailors often claim that such vessels haunt the seas.
The vessel has smooth surface.
Vessel. Voyage.
He was a young sailor on his first sea voyage.
The Titanic sank on its maiden voyage. The questions must encourage other people to undertake voyages of mutual discovery. Make a voyage across the Atlantic.
The ruffian smiled at me as I passed, and wished me a nice voyage.
voyage,
Worship.
Many people around the world worship in a church.
The moon has been worshipped by primitive peoples.
Many people around the world worship in a church.